As you guys know, I don't usually review shows on this channel, but I found a series on Netflix that's only 4 episodes long, and I think most people can agree this is a show that's worth talking about. Castlevania Season 1. Now, admittedly, I was very nervous going into this because while Netflix usually produces high-quality shows, video game adaptations usually come across as pieces of garbage nobody should ever watch. But if I'm gonna be honest, guys, Netflix has done something that nobody has been able to do thus far, and that is take source material from a video game and make a really awesome show. But now to the show itself. Castlevania Season 1 starts out with Dracula meeting the person who would become his wife. She makes him feel more human and less like a vampire, but a few years later, the religious nuts in the area find her, deem her as a witch, and burn her at the stake. Dracula finds out this news, and to exact his vengeance, he tells the townspeople they have 1 year to make their mark on the world, and then he's just gonna wipe everything out. Then finally, we get introduced to Trevor Belmont, who's from the House of Belmont, who were a family of demon slayers and monster hunters until the religious nuts and the townspeople deemed that they didn't need them anymore and they pretty much just cast them out. So Trevor Belmont has become a wash-up, but because of a certain group of nomadic people called the Speakers, Trevor Belmont must come back into the fray and start fighting monsters once again. And like I've already stated in this video, this is a pretty frickin' sweet show. First of all, the animation looks super crisp and super neat. It reminded me a lot of the animation found in Avatar: The Last Airbender in Book Fire. At first I thought it might have been the same production company that worked on an animated Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it's not. The studio that worked on Castlevania is the same studio that worked on My Life as a Teenage Robot and Fairly Odd Parents. But even though the animation looks great, my favorite part about it is how the creators put it to use. Starting and not stopping with how the animation reflected the tones of the world around the characters and how the characters were feeling. There was this one scene where this bishop was just fully enraged, and the view behind him was a bright orange, almost red looking air. But I also need to say, even though this is animated, this show is not for kids. Castlevania is a dark, mature, brutal show that is not for everybody, and it's definitely not for children. Now let's talk about the characters, starting out with Dracula. I've already said that I'm not familiar with the Castlevania games, so I have no idea how accurate this show is to the characters within those games, but as far as I'm concerned, Dracula in this show is one of the best villains I've seen in quite a while. He was understandable. Honestly, if I was put into his position, I can't say that I wouldn't have done what he did, because I probably would have. I also feel this is where most people's issues are going to be with the show, not with Dracula, but with the relationship that Dracula has with his wife. Being only 4 episodes in this first season, the show moves very quickly, and it starts out with you meeting Dracula and his wife, and within the next scene, she's burning at the stake. It's not a lot of time to get connected to the characters, however, a second season has been approved for Castlevania, so we will have the opportunity to understand Dracula's loss a little deeper. Now, I've talked about Dracula. There's one character I haven't talked about, and that is Trevor Belmont. Voiced by none other than Richard Armitage, aka Thorin Oakenshield from the Hobbit trilogy. And I am thankful for that casting decision because Richard Armitage made Trevor Belmont just one of the coolest characters you can possibly find. Trevor Belmont's a washout, he's in trouble with a lot of people, and he's sarcastic. So he's basically another version of Han Solo. And how is that not awesome? Guys, Castlevania Season 1 was fantastic, and it goes to show that video game adaptations don't have to be complete garbage. This first season was extremely well handled, and it's phenomenal build-up to an extremely dark world. I hear the creators of this Castlevania show want to start production on an Assassin's Creed show, which if they're gonna do it, I'm all on board. But as always, it is what you guys say that matters. So have you already seen the first season of Castlevania? And what did you think of it? More importantly, what are you hoping to see in the future with this show? Leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts. And if you like what you've seen here, and you want to see more, click right there and subscribe and become part of the fray of nerds who love cinema. You all have a fantastic day.